Hey everyone, I hope you're all having an amazing day or amazing night wherever you are in the world. I genuinely hope that. My name's Tom, of course. I welcome you. I'll be talking about analysing your strengths and weaknesses in your own self, okay? I'm really passionate about this subject in general. Honestly, it's taken me some time to work out what my strengths and weaknesses are. And hey, I'm still learning, of course. I'm still learning who I am as a human. So if that's yourself too, sit tight. We'll be talking about bit about stuff like that, talking a bit about my life, and hopefully talking about my life can help yourself, sort of thing. So first of all, we want to talk a bit about strengths, okay? What is our strengths in life? And you're always like, oh, what is my strengths? What is my weaknesses? And for me, I'm always learning. I'm always learning who I am as a person, as an individual in life. And I've realised my strength is, I feel like, talking to people. That's where I feel like my strength in life is. Like, I know it sounds a bit silly, but like I've always had the strength where I don't really give a shit. I don't really give a shit what colour you are, what skin colour you are, what nationality you are. I've always had that sort of connection where if you respect me, I'll respect you till the cows come home sort of situation. Like, yeah, you respect me, I'll respect you. So I feel like that's one of my biggest strengths in life. Like, I've always been like, hey, it's all good, we're all mates sort of thing. Another really good strength of mine is, like, I'm a very hands-on person, so like so I like painting houses, and for me, I've always had a strength where I'm always doing things hands-on, okay? Like, I'm painting walls, painting ceilings, and that's my biggest strength in learning, okay? So as I was talking just quickly a little bit about my own strengths that I have, I'd like yourself to sort of jot down or have a bit of a note in your own mind that what are your strengths? Like, what are your strengths? And hey, look, it's okay if you're a little bit unsure what are your strengths, because me growing up a little bit younger, I was like all over the shop. Like, I really was. I was all over the shop, unsure what my abilities was. Unsure what my abilities was, but look, that takes time to sort of go, my strengths are here, my strengths are there. And really express yourself where your strengths are, because that's where you're going to excel. Like, you're really going to excel in these sort of areas where you feel like you're passionate about, where your strengths are, okay? Like, for me, I love talking, so I can do this sort of thing. I don't really give a shit about who's going to make fun of me, because I can have that ability where I can perhaps touch somebody through the video, connecting with them and helping them out, okay? So that's where you'll excel too, of course. Look, you're going to get a lot of hate when you do find out what your strength is. Like, oh, my strength is gardening. And some people are going to be like, gardening? Are you for real, mate? Like, you for real? Gardening, you? And like, look, that's okay, that's okay. You just keep at it. You just keep at like that strength that you're wanting and your sort of goals. So we talked a bit about our strengths, of course, and our perhaps goals towards building up that strength, like really building up that strength and going, hey, let's take this on to another level. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware, but like, you know, Dragon Ball Z back in the day, or Dragon Ball Z, it's like a Japanese anime. It's called like Super Saiyan, where they go Super Saiyan, like massive strength and massive like abilities, where they're just like with the blonde hair and then they've got more powers. That's where I'm wanting yourself to be, in that level where you're like, you know what, fearless. I don't give a shit about all these other people. This right? Because weaknesses is also a focus in this video. Not just strengths, weaknesses, because we've all got to respect our weaknesses in life, alright? Let's face it. I'm not perfect, alright? I'm not perfect, and I swear to many people I'm not perfect. I wouldn't want to be perfect, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't. For me, I'm happy with the way I am, but that's taken time to understand who I am, and that's where perhaps yourself, you're feeling a bit down because you've got a couple weaknesses and a couple flaws. And hey, let's bloody respect ourselves. Like, really give ourselves a pat on the back and just appreciate we're here, we're enjoying our lives. So for myself, I feel like about 5 years ago, my biggest weakness was I actually was quite a shy person, and it took some time for me to really get out of that comfort zone of, hey, you're not going to get very far if you're really shy. And I really started stepping out of that comfort zone and realizing that my strength was talking to people. I just really struggled to really get in that bang zone of like that Super Saiyan ability where you're like, how do I do this first conversation with anybody, male, female, whatever, you know, like I really struggled with that first conversation. But then once that first conversation we broke that ice, I was like best mates with this person. I swear to God, and that was the amazing part about it. And like looking back, like that was my greatest weakness, like just that, like a bit scared. Look, hey, I still do get a bit scared to this day, like if it's a good attractive woman or something, I still do. I've always struggled with my vocabulary and writing and also texting people. Like I've always struggled with that ability, but I've learned to sort of accept that I struggle with texting people, and I struggle with my reading, also my understanding too sometimes. Like when I'm reading a message, sometimes it goes a bit funny, and that can also affect when I'm learning something. Like when I'm learning something, it can really affect the way I'm learning, because I look through it and I'm like, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it whatsoever. Put your hands up, say, hey, I've got this weakness, but you know what? Eventually, I hope to get better at this weakness. I really do, and that's what I set out to do. And I hope yourself too. You go, hey, I've acknowledged this weakness, of course. I've also acknowledged that I've got a lot of strengths too. I'm sure we've got a lot more positives than negatives. I really actually do think that in life we've got a lot more positives than negatives, but we always technically always go to the negatives, don't we? And I want to really share this story with you too, of course. Like I really want to share this story, like I was saying. I really struggle with my reading, I really struggle with my writing, but throughout my life I've learned to actually like reading books, believe it or not. Like I know it sounds a bit cheesy, like being a male and with tattoos and bits sort of out there. I've actually sort of liked reading books, and for me it's like, look, it takes me like 3 months to read one book. I'm not gonna lie, because like I've got to read the page about 3 times to really absorb that. Okay. Same as my learning, I've got to read the page 3 times to understand it. Yourself to really tap into your mind, okay? Tap into your mind, tap into your soul, and really go, you know what? This is my strength. This is my weakness. I accept it for who I am, and let's go for it, okay? Like I struggle with reading, but hey, I read books here every so often, yeah? Tap into that energy where you're like, this is my strength, and let's go for it, okay? Let's go for this goal. If I love my gardening, if I love photography, let's tap into it more. Let's go for it, okay? Perhaps maybe you like your gardening, or you like your photography, okay? Or whatever your task is in your mind. Perhaps you like this task, but it is a bit of your weakness, okay? So like, you're like, oh, I like gardening, but I'm a bit scared towards doing this. You know what? Out of your comfort zone. Let's just keep going with it. Keep going with it. Maybe in the next 2 years you might actually hate it, but look, you know what? Chances are you actually love yourself for actually going out of your comfort zone and actually risking it, and go, you know what? Let's try some gardening on the weekend. I was really scared in the kitchen growing up. Like in my early 20s, I was really scared in the kitchen. Like I'm like, ah, shit, I'm gonna burn the house down. I'm gonna stuff up in the kitchen. I'm really scared. Help me. And I've got a couple cooking lessons, okay? I'm not scared to. I've got a couple of cooking lessons, and I also started learning YouTube videos on how to cook this or how to cook that. And throughout that, we'll say, throughout that 5 years or 6 year journey, actually no, I reckon we're about on 9 years journey. Throughout that 9 years journey, I've started to really enjoy cooking, and I love cooking, you know, sometimes cakes, sometimes risottos, sometimes rice dishes. It's noodle dishes. For me, my favourite's cooking Thais and curries. That's my favourite, and I started learning that through YouTube and all this sort of stuff. And where I'm going with this is one of my weaknesses was I was so scared with the hot water that I was going to like burn myself, or I'm going to catch myself on fire. And that was one of my biggest weaknesses. I was so scared to get in this kitchen because I had all these fears of, oh, what if I'm going to burn this? What if the chicken is raw? What if all this sort of things going in your head? And throughout all that, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of these fears in your brain. You've just got to, it's like a computer. You just got to keep minimizing or closing them off. I'm gonna attempt it. I don't know if I'm gonna be amazing at it, but like I'm gonna cook it. Let's go for it. Let's enjoy it, and let's have a smile. Maybe we'll have a frown because it's burnt, but that's where I'm going with this. Okay, like part of the journey and why I'm smiling about it is like you learn what your weakness is, and you're like, you know what, bugger it, let's just keep going with this. Like I started liking cooking, so like you get that smile and that satisfaction that you've come a long way. Okay, perhaps you're on the start of this journey or haven't started it, but look, hey, it'll take time towards maybe repairing or fixing or acknowledging this weakness you have, or you want to tap into this weakness. But I guarantee you that like in about 5 years or even the end of the year, you'll be like, you know what, I'm smiling about this, I'm enjoying it, because it's like, it's just something that you're like, I've come a long way, I've learned how to cook. And it's another thing, some people learn through reading, okay? Some people read through reading, some people read through writing, some people read through visualizing, like myself. I also learn through fuck-ups. And that's my 2 ways. I think there's about 4 ways of learning, or maybe there's more, but they're the ones that I can think of. So learn which one your strength is too, of course. Like, do you learn through reading? Do you learn through writing? Do you learn through videos? Or do you learn through actually doing it, doing the task, perhaps making the mistake, fixing the mistake, and you're going, okay, that's that. So that's another one. And I just want to say thank you if you've stuck around this far, of course, I really do. Perhaps, look, if you did like the way I was talking and whatnot, give it one of these. Share it with other people, because when you're sharing with other people, it can also enlighten other people when they're feeling down too. So that's another feedback I want to give to yourselves. Share it with other people. Look, for myself, this video is not about bragging. I know I was talking a bit about myself, but I don't like talking much about myself. I really don't. It's more about like, look, it's try to benefit yourself. Okay, look, my situations in life, and go, hey, if I was like that, hopefully maybe you could jump on the other side of the mountain too, sort of thing, on the green side of the mountain. Okay, so that's all this is about. It's not about me bragging. I really nah. So thank you if you stuck around, and I guess I'll see you in another sort of video. So ciao.